Perfect. Good morning. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to Molly and the Fair Hinton group for leading this mastermind today. I know that last month we did a lot of work on team agreements, and we didn't really get to finish our conversation around some of those topics. So I definitely want you guys to know that we're going to take a break in December, and then starting in January next year, we'll get back started with our admin masterminds, and we'll continue that conversation that we were having last month. So don't think we completely forgot about any of that. I think there's a lot there to keep deep diving into. And so I want to make sure we're being purposeful about those conversations. So we'll dive back into all that great content that Kathy shared with us starting in January. But for today, what I really wanted to do was, as we're ending our year and we're looking towards our goals and how we want to grow our teams, we also got to think about how we imagine ourselves growing in our own roles, right? Because, your positions are always going to need to mold and change with the growth of the team. And I think that the Fair Hinton group has, that specifically Molly and some of the other admins have done, is really challenge themselves on the ways that they think about their roles. So Molly, I'm just going to throw it over to you.
Cool.
Take it away.
Thank you, Kathleen. If you want to monitor, I've been kind of letting some people in that have been in the waiting room. So I don't know. No, you can let Kim Thompson be the other co-host if you want to monitor that, Kim, too, and just let anyone in that's waiting. So awesome. Thank you guys for having us. We're really excited. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We did make a presentation for this, but obviously this is a mastermind. So please let this be an open dialogue forum. Interrupt us, ask specific questions. We're really open to talking about anything. We do have a little presentation prepared. And then at the end, we can talk about kind of your goals. I know Kathleen sent out the 1 year, 5 year, and someday goals worksheet. That's pretty big on our team. And it just challenges you to think about where you're going personally and professionally going forward, and then telling your team and making sure that you are aligned, so that if you want to work 2 hours or 10 hours a week, your boss isn't oh, that's never going to happen, then you might need to pivot. So we can go into that at the end, but obviously, yeah, this is a mastermind, so please interrupt us. And this is open for everyone's thoughts and interpretations. So I will share my screen. So yeah, we're talking about leveling up our positions. Like Kathleen was saying, on our team, the admin have made many moves, and myself particularly, I've held 3 technically different positions, and we're kind of just going to give you guys some context of how we went about doing that, what opportunities Fair Hinton Group gave us, and how you can apply that to your role so that you can feel as accomplished and fulfilled and excited and challenged in your role as possible. I think sometimes admins can feel like they're just admins, but I hope that everyone on my admin team feels like they're a part of a business building group, and business partners in the team. So that's what I hope you guys will all kind of feel inspired to do after we have this discussion today. Next slide. So like I said, my name is Molly Mudd. I am now in the Director of Ops role on Fair Hinton Group, Chicago, Milwaukee. Kim, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Hi, guys. My name is Kim Thompson. Super excited to be here. So I'm the other admin on the Fair Hinton team. I was the second hire for Fair Hinton's admin team. And yeah, I've been on Fair Hinton for 3.5 years. Yeah, I was first started out as transaction coordinator and now just shifted into listing manager, still kind of in training. Brianna, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure do. I'm Brianna. I'm the transaction coordinator for the Fair Hinton Group. I'm much more a newbie and I've only been around for 8 months, which sounds like a long time. And then there are still things I do that I'm nope, still new, very in training still. So I've been learning a lot and enjoying it with this team.
Yeah, so you guys will have all access to all different levels of expertise, if you will. Some of us obviously are newer, some of us are more seasoned, but we're all kind of in the same boat as admin on the Fair Hinton group. This is Emily and Kevin. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background on our team. So as we go through our examples, they make a little bit more sense. Emily and Kevin started Fair Hinton Group in April 2017 and hired me in May 2017. I met them one time. I drove with my dad to Chicago from Iowa, came in for the interview, met with them for like an hour, and then drove back with my dad that afternoon. And then I moved like 2 weeks later to Illinois to be on their team. I loved real estate, and I knew that I just felt like I could trust them, and they were awesome people, and it was the best decision I've ever made. So I started off, like I said, as an executive admin, then went into the listing manager role, and now I'm in the director of ops role. So hopefully we're kind of an example of where you guys can go possibly someday within your team. Hopefully your team gives you opportunities to advance. So just kind of wanted to give you a little bit more context. These are our numbers. So if you kind of like want to understand a little bit about what level of a team we are. So we actually expanded from Chicago to Milwaukee in 2020. And since 2020, we have basically doubled our business. We are definitely looking to triple our business in Milwaukee next year. If you guys know of any admin looking for work, we would love to talk to them. We are actually looking for another admin, and we're hoping to hopefully snag a great Milwaukeean to join our group and be a little bit more boots on the ground up there for us. So yeah, just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit more context as to who we are and how many agents we serve. And then going into the next thing. So really like Kathleen was saying, and what I was saying is how can you grow in your role? Well, growing in your role, you have to know where your team is going and knowing where you fit in there. So we met a couple weeks ago on Lake Geneva. And we kind of came up with these goals, and after talking with our agents to see what they want to do, and after looking at these numbers, I'll kind of explain it in a couple of slides, but it became very obvious that we need more admin help. As you can see, we have 3 admin on this call, and our 2022 goal is to have 4. So these are our goals for 2022, where we're planning on going, and me, Brianna, and Kim have all kind of step back and look at these goals and thought, where do we fit into this picture and how can we help support the team? These 3 bullet points down here are just my guesstimates of where we're going. We aren't really sure how many agents we want to hire or markets we want to get into. I have a hunch that we will be getting into another market by the end of 2022, but we will see. So that's another thing to kind of think about as we are reworking our roles and, leveling up, if you will, in our positions. So this is all to say that this is our entire team. I'm the director of ops, Kim's a listing manager, Brianna's transaction coordinator. Like I said, I came in 2017 as an executive admin and then moved to the listing manager seat, and am now in the director of ops seat. Kim, you started as transaction coordinator?
Yep, transaction coordinator.
Yep, and now is in the listing manager role. And then Brianna is started as transaction coordinator. She is still fresh on the team and looking to kind of be the head of the transaction team as we hire another transaction coordinator in 2022. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context there. So basically, this is what we're going to talk about in the presentation. So we're going to go over kind of like your team's goals. We're going to talk about each of our personal current roles and where we're looking to go in 2022. We're also going to talk about how we tackle hard conversations on our team. Those conversations can be if you want to advance in your role, or also managing your bosses, which is what a lot of us are hired for. And that can be a difficult discussion. Despite how much they say they want to be held accountable, it still can be difficult in the moment. So hopefully we can talk through some of those strategies to make you guys feel more confident in those conversations. And then lastly, we kind of want to open it up to where you guys want to go with your roles and just kind of talk through some of your personal scenarios. So again, feel free to interrupt me anytime with questions, comments, or personal things you'd like to talk about. So like I said, really a lot of what has allowed myself, Kim, and Brianna to advance in our roles was challenging our rainmakers to know what their goals are, and then being very specific about those goals so that we can know where we fit into them and how we can help support the team and what our opportunities for growth are going forward. We all came on this team with hopeful, I mean, there was no promises, but we all enjoy and appreciate the opportunity for growth, whether it is more responsibilities or possibly being a manager or, you know, maybe a pay raise or something like that. So really knowing your team's goals and being crystal clear on that is so important as an admin. And if you don't have those conversations with your rainmaker, or if your rainmaker doesn't have those conversations at all, you kind of just keep spinning the wheels, if you will. I would challenge you to really take that on and ask them those hard questions because it will do wonders for your life and their business. So knowing the team goals is huge. And then the opportunity for admin, once you know those goals, is deciding where you fit in there, what gaps there are in the team's plan. I'm going to kind of go into like our example and in ways that we all were allowed to or afforded the opportunity to grow in our role. So we looked at our 2021, what we did, 2022, what we want to do. We realized that there is a significant gap. Brianna is a rock star and she did 233 transactions and 107 rentals. However, our team wants to increase customer service, get more referrals, have our people be happy so that we just have a bigger world all over the place. And so we figured out that with our goal in 2022 of 306 deals and 30 rentals, there is no way that Brianna can do that on her own. So the gap was that fourth admin. You know, otherwise Kim, who has been, you know, working relentlessly, or myself in our new roles, would have had to take a step back to support Brianna because we're just, the admin team is a little bit spread too thin right now. So the action item was to hire that fourth admin. I will be leading the CB process for them, and also hopefully finding us a rock star to increase our admin team, increase our, you know, customer service, referrals, revenue, what have you. Kim, Brianna, any questions, comments, or feelings on those things? I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, just something I wanted to add. So within hiring our fourth admin, I think it's kind of important to note too, like something not our team struggled with, but we think is of importance. Like if I'm ever out on like a sick day or want to take, you know, a 5-day vacation, like us as admin want to feel like we can do that without feeling guilty that we're like leaving a bunch of work for only, you know, 2 other people. You know, we want to be able to step out when we can and be able to enjoy our vacation days that we're given, you know. So with having this fourth admin, I think that'll give us a little more like peace of mind while we're gone. I know that's something that was kind of present this year. So I'm excited for 2022 with this fourth admin to like be able to enjoy my vacations without like, you know, feeling guilty or anything like that. And just having another person being able to support and know everything about the business and about, you know, your roles is super important. So we could just like step in where needed, if that makes sense.
That's spot on, Kim. Thank you. That was another reason we realized that we needed leverage. The admin team is so important. And when you work on all these systems and better them, and you've got 2 days to kind of transfer that knowledge into someone else's brain before you're off the grid for 2 weeks in a lovely European vacation that we all deserve to take, it's a lot of pressure. And we all like support each other and want each other to not feel overwhelmed in their work. So that was definitely an opportunity for us to kind of realize, obviously, that we needed, you know, another person. Brianna, any questions, comments, feelings about any of this stuff?
No, I just second, just yes.
Well, Perfect, because your slide's coming up next. So tell us a little bit about your current role and where you think you're going or hopefully going in 2022 and how you got there, if you will.
For sure. So I'm the transaction coordinator, just to say that one more time. You all know what that entails. But I had never, just barely touched real estate before joining this team. So I had a lot to learn just in how it works, because each transaction is the same, except they're entirely different. And making it even harder is we're in Chicago and Milwaukee, which are close enough, but two entirely different beasts. So I've really had to learn like two real estate segments and how to be a transaction coordinator and supportive to our agents in both of those locations. So moving forward for 2022, I really want to, one, continue to learn more, and two, get more comfortable and confident in my roles and all of the little details that are a part of a real estate transaction, so that I can focus more on providing better customer service, which is in turn going to bring back referrals and everything that comes with providing great customer service. And then I guess like what I'm looking for after that is rewind. What I learned coming from the corporate world was that real estate is very entrepreneurial, and that switch in my brain from like the corporate, that's not my job, to the Fair Hinton, like, no, but you're a partner in the business, but also set boundaries and rules and systems. That was something that I really struggled with. And when I'd get a request to come in, and like the flag of that's not my job would come up real quick. And then like, but wait, it is. How can you best support the team? And I want to kind of switch my mindset this coming year and beyond that to really become a partner in the Fair Hinton group, and not just the admin that clocks in at 9 o'clock and is out at 5. Those are what I'm working on this year.
I love it. Thank you, Brianna. Yeah, I think you make a lot of really good points. And we kind of were talking about this yesterday as we were like running through the slides. Yes, in the corporate world, it's a little bit refreshing, if I'm being honest, that like you have your lane, you stay in it, you come in at 9 a.m. and you do your thing, and then you leave at 5, and you don't have to think about it much outside of this. But we are all really invested in a team, and we like want our team to be successful. And we know that we have such a strong hand in us being successful, and we take a lot of pride in that. So it's definitely a mind shift, like change. And something else, it's like, as we're hiring and growing and getting into these new roles, it's exciting because we do have that opportunity to be more segmented in our roles and have more of like this is what I do, and then master it and make it awesome. Because right now, all of us are kind of doing everything. And when you're doing everything, you can't be the best at everything. I mean, we're keeping our heads above water, but I think I can speak for all three of us in saying that with this additional admin leverage, we're really excited to be like more in our lane, so to speak, and like master it and make it perfect and make it awesome, so that everything runs a lot smoother on the back end. So that was a really good point, Brianna. Kim, if you want to tell us a little bit about your current role and where you're hoping to go in 2022.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So like I said, I am the listing manager for the team. I started training in July, so I'm a little bit new. As I've come to learn, it's a lot. Listings is a lot. So the reason I kind of wanted to not switch positions, but when we were talking about hiring our third admin, Brianna, it gave me a chance to kind of sit back and think about, okay, where do I want to fit in on the team? Where do I want to be? And I think listing manager just kind of makes sense, going from transaction coordinator to listings, so I can learn like all the systems and back end stuff to the whole picture of everything, if that makes sense. Like just coming from under contract stuff, now I can learn like the front end of how to get something ready for listings. So that's kind of my current role right now. I'm really, really, really looking to master this in 2022 because I'm so new. Like I want to continue to build out the systems, just make everything as seamless as possible. So everything just like flows really, really well. I think it's important to note too, we hired our like listing support agent who is out in the field a lot, who helps the lead agents. So I'm really interacting with the lead agents and the listing support agent very frequently throughout my day. So it's just creating my systems around how like these three jobs and like intersect, if that makes sense. So like creating my systems around what works for them and what works for me, so it could just like best flow. So yeah, I'm really, really looking to just like create the best systems for our team. Of course, like with us growing, they're going to change a little bit and be fluid. But I think by creating these systems, early on before the spring market, before we get super busy, everything will just hopefully flow really, really well when we're, in, the spring market and everything's like super busy. So I can kind of step back now, now that we're not super, super busy, coming in the next couple months and create these systems and just prepare for all that.
Thank you, Kim. So I'm actually now that you said that, I'm going to go forward a little bit in our presentation and talk about like these hard conversations, because I think I'm just reading this chat. I'm curious what you think would help you with this from asking from your agents. So this is kind of what I was going to talk about next. I think a lot of us struggle with being hired to like manage the systems and make systems and hold the agents accountable and keeping them organized. But that looks like very different during the day-to-day. And it feels a little bit uncomfortable, like telling your boss what to do, even though that's what they said that they hired you for. So I kind of just wanted to like go into a little bit of this, and anyone can like speak up, or talk about ways that they've handled this. But, kind of like Kim, if you, I don't know, have an example of ways that you manage up or how you manage that every day to kind of allow you to grow in your role and like master it so that you can feel really confident and, help our team be the best that we can be, essentially.
Yeah, totally. So I've come to learn that it's a little bit harder than I originally thought. I wouldn't say harder, but just like I need to have the agents and listing support agent like actively helping me form these systems also, because it's not just me doing them or me in it, like it's also them. So like with the collaboration, I think is super important, so they can kind of let me know what works for them, what works for me, and then we can kind of come up with the best system around it, if that makes sense. So just really having the agents hand in all this, which I frankly had not a hard time with, but sometimes it's, I like create the system and then they'll have a bunch of feedback that I'll have to go back and like reevaluate. So it's been a little bit tricky with that, but at the end of the day, if we're creating like a foolproof system around this, then, it's going to help the team, tenfold, over the next year or so.
Yeah. I think each of us can think of an example of a time where we got really excited. Like the agents are like, yes, tell us what to do. We will do it. This is going to be awesome. And then we spend all this time in the back end making this whole system, and we're so excited to present it. And then we do. And the agents are like, wait, this makes no sense. Like if I'm in the field doing this, I'm not going to fill out this document. Like, they kind of are a little bit apprehensive to it, I guess, like when you present it, and it stinks because it's like you worked really hard to like create the system and you want it to be for the good of the whole team. But I think what we all have kind of learned a little bit in the past couple of months is it's worth scheduling that like 1 hour meeting with everyone to talk through it before you spend like 3 hours on the back end, in our admin brains, like creating a system, because then when you present it to the agents, like it's so admin heavy, like in the way the questions are created and the way the questions are asked, that it feels like foreign to them to fill it out. And then what's the system if they're not going to use it? So you need to create something that they want to use too. So word to the wise, if you guys are creating systems, whether it be listings, transactions, what have you, try and get some feedback or some really solid direction from your team lead or rainmakers, or I'm not really sure what everyone likes to call them, but I think that that's something that we've all kind of learned a little bit the hard way, but it's all good stuff. We kind of have touched on this, but those hard conversations that everyone has to have in order to level up their position or in order to grow on the team. I think everyone has to have those, but these are hopefully some of the ways that can make those conversations better. It's just like, make sure you guys have a list of your responsibilities, or like if you want to have a conversation about, your growth on the team after you've established, like, this is what the team wants to do. This is where I think, we could be going, I would also recommend not going to your team lead and just being like, I want a promotion, and like not really having a plan, because I've also done that. And they were like, okay, that's great, but what does that look like for you? Where do you want to be? Like, we can just give you more money, but is that really going to make you happy? So word to the wise, come with a plan, and hopefully these things will kind of give you the formula for a plan. So having a list of your responsibilities, a lot of the time helps give clarity onto what you do every day, and also noting in those responsibilities, what do you like doing and what do you not like doing? Because a lot of times as you're growing, you're going to hire, and hopefully your, team lead will respect you and be excited for you and want to promote you. However, that new person could be taking on some of those roles that you don't necessarily enjoy doing. We all have something that we don't enjoy doing in our jobs, which, you kind of have to do sometimes. But hopefully, as you're growing on the team and taking on new roles, you're excited about it and you're doing more of what you like, and not just like continuing to stay in the same seat on the team, if that makes sense. So having a list of those responsibilities and deciding what you like and what you don't like, and tracking time to complete those responsibilities. I think, especially in the COVID world, people don't, and it's not their fault. Sometimes people forget how long it takes to do a specific task. And when you come to those meetings with like measurable evidence, and this is what I spend time doing, this is how long it takes me to do it. And then also coming to that conversation prepared with how you help the team grow. It's a little bit harder with admin because our, jobs are so qualitative, not necessarily quantitative. But once you really take a step back, you can easily kind of get some metrics that will help. Like Brianna took us from, Kim, how many transactions did we have in 2019? Like maybe a little over 100, and now we're at 233. So like Brianna gave us the leverage to double our business. And that's like a clear metric that she could use when going into those conversations with our team leads and asking, to grow or to take on that next position in the team. And another thing that we do that's really helpful in these conversations on our team is having weekly meetings and formal quarterly reviews. So weekly meetings with your team leader. This will not only like it's just an opportunity for you to kind of like get anything out that's bothering you in the moment, but also it doesn't make it as awkward when you want to have those conversations, because there's already a standing meeting on the books. It can be a little bit intimidating if you want to like have a serious conversation with your team leader and you like set a particular meeting and you like, get up the courage to call them. And it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, which can make the conversation go, in my experience, not as smoothly as I would like it to. But having those standing meetings, it takes a little bit of the pressure off. And, at the end of the weekly meeting, you can just say, hey, by the way, the other day we had this conversation. It didn't really sit well with me. Let's kind of talk it through and see how we can do better going forward. I think that was like a major turning point, and it's kind of a no-brainer, but until someone tells you to meet with your team leader weekly, like you might not think about it. Another thing that is really big for us is team agreements. So every year we meet with our team leaders one-on-one and review the team agreement and talk about our upcoming year and really do like we measure and we ask each other, are you happy in this role? Is this a win-win for both parties? Because if it's not, we either need to fix it or we need to make like, an employee change, I guess. We all have our one-on-one meetings this upcoming week. me and Kim are meeting with Emily and Kevin, each individually on Monday, and Brianna's on Tuesday. And it's going to go really well. We're excited about it. But, it's just a formality that we really prioritize on our team to review those team agreements so that there is no kind of questioning what your responsibilities are, what your pay structure is going to be in the new year. So that's something that I would definitely recommend to people. And then finally, we always say this, well, not always, but we like to say it on our team, that honesty and transparency are kindness. So if you have like a problem or if you're looking to have these conversations, maybe it's not necessarily super advantageous for you to wait until your quarterly review to have those conversations. If something's bothering you, get it out in the moment and just put it out in the air and squash it so that you can move forward and like continue doing your job. I think that's just been like a really good aspect of our culture and our team, because honestly, Emily and Kevin think of me, Kim, and Brianna as business partners. And as business partners, in order to do the best for the team, you have to be honest. And sometimes that honesty isn't, it's not the most fun, and it's not always like the, pretty flowers or super warm and fuzzy things to say, but it's going to help the team in the future. So we all respect each other and enough and want the team to do well enough that we have those conversations, when they come up. Kim, Brianna, or anyone else, if you guys have any like questions, comments, or feedback about these conversations on your team, we'd love to discuss.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Yeah, like you were saying, just don't let things fester. I mean, there's so many times that I'll call Molly and just be like, hey, like this isn't going right, or I need advice, that kind of thing. And then we'll kind of just like squash it and come up with the best result for, the situation. There's been a lot of times like that. And, there's going to be problems in your workday. We're all, working closely together. You just have to remember that you all have the same like goal in mind, to help each other and to learn from each other. And like that result has to be like in the forefront of your mind to achieve like happiness and the best result for everyone, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely don't let things fester.
Mm-hmm. Kathleen, thank you for the comment. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this at some point. Get people on board before you start the train. That is good. Sometimes I've been about 50 miles out before I realized I was out there alone.
But my spreadsheets are so pretty when we're all out there, though.
Yeah, that's so true. Does anyone else have any hard conversations or honestly want to share about their, where you guys are going in 2022 and how we can help talk you through either conversations with your team leaders or just talk through scenarios, I guess, if anyone wants to share.
Hey, this is Elizabeth from JSG. And hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I just wanted to give huge credit to Bev Drummond and Chris McKinney from our team, because we really did set up a great onboarding process for agents that join our team to make it helpful for us so that we have the most success too, and kind of illustrating our expectations and our responsibilities from the start, I think has been the most helpful. And so we just laid out there, and obviously we know agents are all different, but that's been immensely helpful for everything that we've been doing.
Yeah, I need to talk to you guys because that is definitely something that I'm looking to do in 2022. I kind of feel like we have to start from scratch every time a new agent starts on our team, purely because we haven't built out those systems like to the extent that we should. And that is such a huge part of agent retention and recruiting on teams, just like a recruiting top talent, so that when you get them in there, they're successful from day one. That's awesome. I would love to see any type of systems or tracking or spreadsheets and stuff that you guys have for that.
Yeah,
that would be really helpful.
Chris and Bev are top notch on that.
That's good. Anyone else? Any like kind of scenarios for 2022 that people would like to talk through? See a chat.
I do have, I'm just going to throw something out there, and I don't know if anybody has advice, but I'm going to throw it out. How can you help foster that culture of honesty and transparency? That's something that I've kind of always struggled in all of my roles. So, you know, I'm an honest person, but I also know that I don't want to come off as too brash, right? And so there always seems to be a little bit of an elephant in the office. And I think a lot of people can feel that as well in some of their roles. So how do you kind of like help foster that culture so that everybody's being honest as well?
Can I take this one to start?
Yeah, Brianna, go for it.
I felt that way at the, like in my previous roles too, and joining the Fair Hinton group, just like there are regular check-ins. And when I stepped into the TC position, like things, I don't want to say it didn't work well, but like I started calling every agent every single day so that there's regular communication, which kind of helped like I don't want to say squash anything right at the beginning, but that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like issues didn't get big because we saw them pop up right as they like, oh, that might be a problem. So like it was a lot easier to communicate and talk about difficult things because we are talking all the time. So there's not it doesn't feel uncomfortable to bring up things that aren't comfortable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I'll add to that too, Kathleen, I think like that all came from Emily and Kevin. Like the first thing that they said to all of us was no drama, like none will be tolerated. And if there is, you will be gone. So it like kind of starts from the top down. And if you have people that believe that and act on that, I think it kind of just, it flows out to the other people. And also like you have to reassure people. If Emily or Kevin like called me and had a bit of feedback that wasn't necessarily probably what I wanted to hear, but I didn't think that they like respected my role or like didn't know that like I was in it, like we're all in this together. Like we have like this like camaraderie that like, you know, you jump, I jump type thing. Like, you know, we're all succeeding or we're all failing. We're one big family. So when they come to me with that feedback, I never have a question, like with honesty and transparency, if it's coming from a good place or not. So it's never like awkward, if that makes sense. I mean, yes, there are discussions that don't go great. There are sometimes tears, yours truly, from yours truly, but it all like is resolved by the end of the call because we all respect each other and like really truly want like the best for the team. And like Emily said this the other day, which I thought was like a really good point. She was like, if I didn't care about like you and your role, I wouldn't give you feedback. Like I would just like let you go, like do your thing and just kind of like stumble through and be like, oh, it's Molly again, whatever. But it's like, she believes in me so much and she believes in the team so much that like the right thing to do is to tell me how to be better. And I know that she feels that way about me and she says it all the time. So like, then that feedback and honesty and transparency doesn't sting so much.
And this is Kathy Popovich. I'm not on because I'm in the car driving on our way on vacation. But I thought I'd unmute because there is one thing that we started doing this past year, because we've added 3 agents and 2 part-time admins, a contract to close person, and then we're starting a staging services business. So I'm training that person to bring on the staging, then also training her to do the listings launches, which up until this point, I've done a lot of this. And to everyone who's here understands that real estate is a lifestyle business. You know, I was in the corporate world for over 30 years. And, you know, this is probably the most challenging career move I've made because of it being consumer facing, because it's nights and weekends for agents. It's not a typical, you know, business. So having said all of that, one of the things that we've started doing and saying is we start like every conversation, whether, especially if it's a hard conversation or we have to push back on something to an agent, we say, you know, we're here to support you. We want you to be successful. And what we're doing is trying to create efficiencies and quality. So that is everything that we say and do. And even if sometimes we miss the mark in a system or a process that we've created, it's always from that place of our goal is to support you in your success, to create as many efficiencies as possible so that we can do more business with you as your business grows. And so that quality doesn't suffer, because we want to have 5-star quality so that we will get, you know, 5-star excellent customer service and get those referrals. So we start like a lot of our conversations that way, and then we can go into the things that we need them to change.
Yeah, for sure. And it also kind of, I mean, Kathy, that you say that, you know, those meetings where you have that, the fact that you have like a standing meeting, and, you know, this was way back in the day when I took one of the systems that I didn't run by the agents first and, you know, laid it in front of them at our meeting. And one of the tabs on the agenda was lay the fish on the table. And it was like just an opportunity, just a placeholder for anyone to talk about what had been like come up in the past week that they needed to get off their chest, or like maybe an issue had arose that we had to put out the fire, but we didn't really get to the solution. I used to have that as like a placeholder on our weekly business meetings, so that we, you know, anyone, it was just kind of like an open-ended, you can say whatever you want, now's the time. Because sometimes too, it's like when you have those conversations, when you call someone and like they're in the middle of their workday, and then that's the time that you give them honesty and transparency, and sometimes it's not the best feedback, it can feel a little bit like, oh shit, like that just threw me. Now I'm like really off my game. I can't concentrate. That was weird. Like, but when you have that standing meeting, and even like that, you know, kind of placeholder within the meeting, like Kathy was saying, like it allows you to mentally prepare for it and put your guard down, and like everyone to kind of know that it's all for the good of the business and for feedback and to give that quality service. So that's a really good point, Kathy.
Yeah. And I mean, my agents have actually, was crazy to me. They apologized for being disrespectful. They were like, we're so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I was being so disrespectful. I'm like, well, I don't think you were intending to be disrespectful or intending to just walk all over us. I never believe that is your intention, but let me share with you, like when you do this, this, and this, when the system is over here doing, you know, X, Y, and Z, how that creates an inefficiency, and it doesn't allow us to serve all the agents at the highest level. It's just being transparent back to them. And it actually was very, it was so good. I mean, I felt bad that they felt that that's how they felt. And I'm like, no, this is not about, I know we all respect each other, but you know, so it was interesting. And I would say that whenever we've had those hard conversations, and we always are kind of coming back to those 3 things of grow your business, efficiency, and quality, that when you couch it in all of that, then it is really a much easier conversation, even if what comes next is hard.
Yeah. And that, I mean, goes exactly back to Brianna's point, that it allows you to like get in front of those issues and not let things fester, so that when it all spirals out of control and there's a huge blow up 3 months later, that like Kathy just said, you know, the blow up isn't as big, or you're at least prepared for it, and can kind of start to put some action items in place. That was a good point. anyone else want to talk through anything that they're going through, or, you know, struggles or growth opportunities for 2022? Looking at the chat.
I would just say this mastermind came at a good time because we have, I don't know about you guys, but we all have our like end of the year reviews coming up. So it really helped me to kind of see, you know, some insight of what I want to talk about, what I want to discuss, like insight for, you know, my goals for 2022, and to be able to communicate that to Emily and Kevin, like, you know, with the utmost like respect for everyone in the team and like where we're going to go. So yeah, I'm super excited and pumped to have that conversation now. So just wanted to say that.
Good.
One of the things that JSG that we do at JSG, I'm Chris, by the way. We have end of the year planning meetings. They're actually planning meetings for 2022, and the operations team sits with the agent individually, one-on-one. And so they have an agent partner, which is a transaction coordinator plus a little bit more. And then myself and or Bev, as well as Jay and Janine, will sit with each of the agents, and we talk about how we're going to serve them. So for us in operations, we have two sets of clients. We always say we have the end client, which is the home buyers and sellers. And then we actually have our agents who are our clients as well. And those are our internal clients. And we always want to make sure that the product we're delivering, which is our service, is above and beyond what their expectations are. And if we're not exceeding those expectations, this is not only do these agent partners have weekly one-on-ones, which all of you guys are talking about, so they have the time to try to tackle some of those maybe gaps in service that exist. But at the end of the year, it also gives them the opportunity to talk to us about things that maybe they wish they could have from us, or some ideas for improvement. We always open the board up to that. But these December meetings, it's really more about, here's what you can expect from us in the future. So this is what you know you get. And then here are some things that you can see on the horizon. So we always want to try to reinvent ourselves. We want to make sure that we're continuing to show that we're improving process, that we're not staying at status quo. Because let's be honest, you guys, if we're not doing our job, they can go anywhere else. They can go to another team. They can go to another company. And so it's really our jobs, all the people on this call right now, to make sure that we're doing our very best and that we're doing a lot of soul searching, and that we're making sure that we're exceeding what their needs are. Otherwise, they're going to walk away and go elsewhere. So this time of year for us, it's exciting, but it's also very a frantic time period for us, because we're like, what are we going to say for next year? What are we going to do? Like, whether it's the events we're hosting, whether it's, you know, other investments that we're making in technology to make their job easier. Maybe it's more personnel. Maybe it's a new service that we're offering. Maybe it's a new office that we're considering to open. Like, there's so many different things. But having to tie that all up and serve it beautiful on a platter is what we're preparing to do right now. And I don't know if you guys do something similar, but we always talk about this whole idea of agents being our clients. And our job is to make sure that these clients feel taken care of. And sometimes it's hard to do that when maybe the agent isn't the easiest to work with. And so, you know, you've got that tug of war of, oh, they're my client, but they're making my job really difficult. And those are some tough questions or conversations that we have all the time of, how do you actually have those conversations without offending your client? So anyway, that was just,
I just wrote that down. That was, Emily and Kevin had one-on-one meetings with all of the agents, talk about their goals and like what they can expect from the team in 2022. But as you all know, like, that conversation would look very different than if an admin had a conversation with them in the same type of context. So I would be really curious to see if we could possibly try and get something like that on the books, because Emily and Kevin can say what we're going to do as admin, but like, they don't really know, because they're not at our weekly admin meetings. They're not thinking about all the systems that we do want to build out. So hearing that from us, you know, could be a huge opportunity. I really, really like that idea. And And also they want to feel supported. And in 2020, like they don't see me in the office every day working really hard like I am doing at home. So it just gives them like peace of mind to know that like, no, I'm just back here in my house, like working on your behalf, like just reassuring them of that. I really, really like that idea. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have any other thoughts, ideas?
I was just thinking it would be kind of fun to have some of the team leads, our rainmakers, maybe guests on our mastermind and talk to us, even if it's like at a high level, like what does our admin team mean to us? Because sometimes I think we are assuming things, and just for them to even be kind of force them, if you will, to think about how important is their admin team to their team and to the overall business. I think it would be interesting. We probably all would walk away crying and like we don't even realize how much they love us. You know what I mean? So I think that might be kind of a cool little guest speaker type thing.
Yeah, there's definitely assumptions all the way around. And if there are assumptions before COVID, there's way more assumptions when you don't see people face to face every day. So yeah, no, I love that idea. What else? Anyone else? Oh, my nose. Well, we can end a couple minutes early if people want to stay on and kind of talk through some stuff. That would be great. But that's pretty much all we got. I appreciate you all. You guys are all like the Milwaukee admin squad is very impressive. I want to learn from all of you. You guys have like such incredible businesses. And I know you all are such a big part in that. So in 2022, that's another one of my goals is to mastermind a lot more with you gals and guys and get some face-to-face. So thank you all.
And thank you guys, Molly and Kim and Brianna, for all of your input and advice. And it was a great conversation. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.